What's the difference between a leader and a manager? Are the two words interchangeable? How do leaders show up for their teams, and how do managers show up for them? What's the impact of each style, and is it one or the other, or is it ever appropriate to switch between them intentionally? Let's talk about it. First, let's be very clear about what a leader is. I often ask leaders I'm coaching, what's the one thing all leaders have? And usually I hear courage, wisdom, tenacity, or some other trait like this. But it's a trick question because the answer is followers. All leaders have followers. If no one is willingly following you, if people are only doing what you tell them to do because they have to, you're not a leader, you're just in charge. But that's not the whole picture. Because leaders have earned their followers by behaving in certain ways that helped human beings feel respected, empowered, cared for, and encouraged. Simon Sinek once said, "Managers look after your numbers, leaders look after your people." Managers don't need followers. They're focused on output, and they usually think that the best way to get that output is to set targets and incentivize employees with sticks and carrots. It's like someone told them that people are motivated by sticks and carrots, and they think they're holding the key to the human mind all of a sudden. In fact, as Daniel Pink has eloquently explained in a video that I'm going to link in the description below, the sticks and carrots approach actually doesn't work for information workers and has only moderate success motivating rote, repetitive physical activity like production line work. But because this is the only piece of human psychology that many managers know, they just keep pressing that button over and over, hoping it will work. And when the CEO of your company believes this, the entire culture can be steeped in it. To illustrate the difference between a manager approach and a leader approach, I'm going to use an analogy. Let's use a mouse and a maze. This shouldn't be offensive at all, as we've been referring to work as the rat race since the 1930s. We'll trade our sticks and carrots for cheese and mild electric shocks. Both our manager and our leader can see the whole maze from their elevated position, but they each take a different approach to helping the mouse get through the maze. First, I'll explain the different strategies, and then we'll talk about the hazards of each and the impacts on the company culture. Managers set up mild electric shock traps for choices they believe are wrong and use small amounts of cheese at various junctions in the maze to incentivize the mouse to choose certain paths. The manager either wants to do most of the thinking because they think the mouse can't, or they feel they must do the thinking because they just can't trust the mouse to make the right choices. The electric shocks will stifle innovation because the mice will slow down after the first shock to avoid a misstep and to stick to the path, even if it turns out that the path wasn't the most effective one to take. One piece of cheese at a time, managers get the mice through the maze by incentivizing short runs of movement one by one. The leader, on the other hand, spends some time up front hiring mice who know how to navigate mazes, or they train and mentor the mice until they know how to do so. Then they put a big pile of cheese at the exit and remove all electric shock pads from the maze. They see their job as supporting the mouse, making the maze as safe as possible, and trusting the mouse to reach the cheese. This can result in innovation. By making it safe to fail, leaders empower the mouse to try new paths. Sometimes the mice discover better paths than were previously known. Our leader's mouse here found a shorter path out of the maze because they weren't afraid to try new things. It's not that leaders don't need to behave like managers from time to time, but their employees view this as mentoring, not managing. It's all about the motive. Am I coaching you because I care about the company, or am I coaching you because I care about you and I know that if you're skilled and happy, the company will benefit also? Besides an increase in innovation, what other impacts emerge from the difference of the two styles? Well, most people who are well-trained, empowered, autonomous, and trusted are happier and more engaged at work. And that makes their motivation to do good work intrinsic rather than extrinsic. They don't just want the reward at the end, they enjoy the journey on the way there. And here's the important bit. Most companies tell me that they want people who who are intrinsically motivated. They spend a ton of time vetting applicants to find them, but then they put them under managers or in a culture that disempower them to act autonomously. These people eventually quit, leaving the company only with employees who play it safe, follow instructions, and will wait until the next piece of cheese is laid down before they move. In case this isn't really clear, let me be really explicit about this. When it comes to employee morale, engagement, and performance, leadership style matters. It matters more than employee skill. It matters more than your benefits package. It matters more than compensation, and it matters more than your beautiful campus. And when each employee is led by leaders instead of managers, they stay longer, work harder, and work smarter. This translates to a higher bottom line. If things are set up right, that higher bottom line is shared with employees. It is the pile of cheese at the end, making them more willing to run more mazes later in a virtuous win-win cycle. Your competitors are on your heels. Maybe they're even ahead of you. Can you afford to have a company full of employees moving cautiously to avoid sticks, waiting for instructions from their managers to take the next step? Can your bottom line absorb the loss of productivity and the lack of innovation? If you've been smacking that sticks and carrots button at your company with no success and are looking to turn your managers into leaders, click the link in the description below to contact me. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe. I'm not a prolific content creator on YouTube because I have a company to run, but I try to post relevant hot takes on leadership and team performance, along with some cutting commentary on leadership and company news from time to time, so I hope you'll join me. Until then, be safe and make sure your name is at the top of the list of people you care for.